Hello everyone, Cowbunger here. I wanted to revisit the Rate Their Chances series once again because I've become more involved in indie game crossover projects, and I just generally see more clearly how Team Fray goes about things. I've learned new things, and I want to bring my discoveries to all of you. This video will also act as an update video for the series since it has been a while since I've made a proper new episode of the series, so stay tuned until the end to see how I'm moving forward with Rate Their Chances. Let's start today's video by looking at the previous scores for every character I've covered in the past. I'm still pretty confident about many of my ratings, but I'm changing the ratings of 7 characters today, which seems significant enough to warrant its own video. There are 2 big discoveries that made me change my opinions on a lot of these characters, and we'll get into them shortly. I just wanted to say that if I don't end up mentioning a character, just assume I didn't change their rating, and I'll have an updated list of ratings once I'm done explaining all rating changes. So let's start with the character who got the biggest rating change, Isaac from The Binding of Isaac. Previously, I rated him a 5, which is the highest rating you could get, and he was one of my predictions to be a base roster character in Fraymakers. The 2 discoveries that I want to talk about both have caused Isaac, in my eyes, to seem a lot less likely to make an appearance in this game. One thing that I've really noticed about Fraymakers is that Team Fray seem to be really careful about which games get into Fraymakers. I really started to notice this with 2 characters that I've heard that they denied. One is known publicly, so I'll just go ahead and say it, but Postal Dude from the Postal Games series has been deconfirmed by a dev of the Postal Games. The other character is one that I will not disclose out of respect for Team Fray because it has not been publicly revealed whether or not this character is going to be in the game. I will say that the likely reason why both characters were denied was because both games are for mature audiences and therefore have mature themes. It seems like Team Fray does not want representation from mature series if that means that their inclusion in Fraymakers would not feel right without representing those mature themes. I think the big thing that they're probably trying to avoid is guns, profanity, and blood. Any of these things could increase the age rating of the game, and Team Fray might feel it's not worth including any of these things, especially if other IPs they work with do not want their characters in a game that represents mature themes. Now, Team Fray does have representation from more mature games. Look at Ape Out as an example. There is blood in that game, but they put Ape in as an assist because you don't have to show blood to represent the Ape Out game. We also have Gum and Clive, who isn't from a mature series, but he does use a gun, and I think it's okay in this case because the bullets Gum and Clive shoots do not seem to be real bullets. They look more like tiny corks than anything else, and the sound the gun makes when it shoots a bullet is not realistic in the slightest, so you can definitely make the argument that Clive isn't shooting a real gun. One more example I want to bring up, even though this character is not confirmed, is Meat Boy. I do think that Meat Boy is still going to be an assist in this game, and the big reason why I think it's okay to represent somebody like Meat Boy, who's basically just this sack of meaty blood, right, is that you don't have to show the blood, right? It's only really implied that he's made out of blood, and ultimately Indiepogo still got a E for everybody rating with the inclusion of Meat Boy in their games, so it's possible. As long as you don't show the blood, then it's okay. Now, if you wanted to include Postal Dude, he probably would have to shoot a real gun. Otherwise, he'd just do a melee attack with like a shovel, and that's not really a unique thing to do. So now that we covered everything in that tangent, let me tell you how it affects Isaac's chances. Since I rated Isaac, I have played The Binding of Isaac myself, and the more I play it, the more I realize that it's going to be a very hard thing to represent Isaac as a character or assist without bringing in more mature content. I know that it's probably possible to do, but it does feel like they would have to sacrifice a lot to make it happen. I feel like if Isaac were to be an assist, the easiest and most recognizable things Isaac could do would be to either shoot out some tears from his eyes or place down a bomb. I think him just being a sentry is too similar to what Gum and Clive's function is. And I do believe that It'll Do is going to be an assist, and I do think she's going to place a bomb, with the added bonus of being able to hit that bomb around before it explodes. So that's two things that Isaac could do that's probably going to be covered by other assists. I can still see him doing something different, but as you look at power-ups from the Binding of Isaac, a lot of them do involve some kind of blood or demonic imagery. Unless someone on Team Fray is a big fan of the series and really knows how they want to represent the game in a unique way, I really do doubt that Isaac is going to get in. So I have changed Isaac's rating from a 5 to a 2.5, pretty much a halfway drop. I don't think getting in touch with Edmund McMillan is the problem. As I said before, I'm like 90% sure that they have already talked with him. But actually making something happen that pleases all parties is something that I think will be almost impossible to do. So with Isaac out, now I have to make a new prediction for a character that I think will be in the base roster. Is it someone that I've already covered? Yes. Let's take a look at Ramu. Yes, I am bumping up Ramu from a 4 rating to a 5. She is my new prediction to appear in the Fraymakers base roster. Why? Well, I saw one big thing that led me to do some more research into the Touhou IP and how it's handled. When Touhou Fractured Transcendence was announced, I noticed that it got a Steam page. I became curious if the game was going to end up being monetized because I didn't think you could even put a fan game on Steam without the copyright owner's permission, let alone a paid product. So yes, I found out the game will be monetized, and through some more digging, I discovered that the Touhou IP holders are actually very chill about how their IPs can be used. To make a long story short, they allow you to use the Touhou IP for whatever. No permission needed, as long as you follow certain guidelines. If this was common knowledge to you Touhou fans, I'm sorry, I didn't really connect the dots until I looked into it, because I've not really looked too much into the Touhou series in general. But yeah, now everything about the Touhou series makes much more sense with this information. I really do think that Ramu is one of the most popular requests for Fraymakers, and I would legitimately be very shocked if there's no Touhou representation in Fraymakers at all. Those were the two big characters that I wanted to go over. Other ratings are much easier to explain, so I'll go over them quickly. Neverman has been moved to a rating of 1.5, mainly for being a part of a mature game and kind of having body horror elements. Even if I went to look back at someone like Alex Van Helsing again, he uses guns, so I can't really see any Terradrome characters being likely for similar reasons. Freddy has gone down to a 1. I've heard that the only way you can contact Scott Cawthon for business inquiries is by sending him a physical letter, and he still probably gets lots of letters, so I doubt it'd be worth even trying to get in contact with him for anything. The Imposter is in the game as an assist, so I guessed that correctly. And by the way, I probably would have predicted Nico as well, but not Gum and Clive, so I'd say I got a 2 out of 3 record so far. I have brought Sans, Omori, and Cuphead down to a rating of 2. I think at this point Toby and Omocat are both an impossible contact, but if you can get a hold of one of them, you can probably ask for the other. I see Toby being interested in something like this, it's just a matter of getting to him. The Cuphead devs are very easy to contact, but they seem very particular about crossovers for whatever reason, and as the years go by, I see collaborations with them becoming less and less likely. Also, having Sans, Omori, and Cuphead in the same tier as characters like Wilson, Fury, and the Terrarian just doesn't feel right to me, since I know the latter characters are probably much easier to get for crossover stuff. And that is it. Here is the updated list as promised, plus Postal Dude and It'll Do, since I've pretty much said what their chances are going to be in this video. Moving forward with this series, I've decided that I wanted to cover multiple characters for one episode, probably 4 or 5 at once depending on how long each of them takes me. This should help move the request list along much faster than it is right now, and with that I should be able to take requests again soon. But let me reiterate, I'm not taking them yet, so don't try it. I'll probably have a community post asking for some when the time comes. But hopefully my word on these things is significant, seeing how I'm working on 2 games that do crossovers with indie games right now, and I hope you come back to see my opinions on other characters. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.